Hello and welcome to Love Anything Art. Today I have a fun, simple, relaxing polymer clay project idea for you. Super simple, super easy. These are 3 that I made previously. Obviously, they each look a little different. I was trying to experiment with the levels of translucent clay in between each layer, and I really like the sun on the left. And this one's a little bit more hazy. This was the second one that I did on the right. And then I kind of went a little bit bolder on a lot of things for this last one here. With the sky, I wanted more of a transition. With the water, I also did more of a transition. And then a little bit different stuff with the sand. And then I also painted the sun on that one. I'm not going to paint the sun on the one I'm currently showing you, but I will show you basically the third one that I did. These are the colors that I'm going to be using for mine. I found that lemon does not bake out very well, so I am going to be using some yellow clay. And then these are the other colors, some grape, which turns out pink, which is perfect for this because I'm going to mix it with the blue, so it's all going to be faded out for the sky. You'll just need a thin sheet or thin to thick sheet of translucent clay. I am using Premo. It is better in a lot of ways than the Sculpey because it is a bit firmer and it'll hold its shape a lot better. So I put the blue on there, and then this is the purple that I'm going to mix with the blue, and I'm very lightly fading up and into the blue color. I want a little bit of blue, I want a little bit of purple, which will bake and become pink, which is kind of what the purple color does. It would be pretty cool if it baked more true to the alcohol ink bottle, but in this case it worked out, and just kind of gradually going up. Then I'll work on the ocean. That's really all you have to do with the sky. I mean, if you want to continue to play with it and, I don't know, make it more bold in certain ways, you could. Making the water lines kind of go across, I want like a watercolor kind of a look to it. So I'm basically just putting a little bit on the paintbrush and just gently smearing it on there just to get that water flow look on it. And then I'll take a little bit more of my other color here and kind of mix it in there. It's basically just going onto the clay and then I'm letting it go. It's its own free spirit, guys. It does what it wants. I put a little bit more on there, and then you'll see that it's kind of darker in the back, and then it gradually flows into a lighter color, which is kind of what I'm going for here with the water. It's going to look like an ocean or a lake or a bed of water. Just different colors. It's not usually all one color. You know, it has a variance of colors in there. Just taking a little bit of translucent clay, and basically I want to make a very, very light blue for the clouds in the sky, and then also some like foam surf for the water on the front part where it meets the beach line. I did use a little bit too much blue, so as I was going along, I was trying to rectify that by adding more white, and then also by adding more translucent color to it so that it will kind of thin out the color or dilute it some. That's just kind of the color I was going for my sky. You know, for the clouds, they are generally a very light blue to a white to a gray color. You can kind of do what you want with yours. If you want like storm clouds, you can make them darker. You want to make a stormy sea scene. That would be kind of pretty. And I'm putting the clouds on there towards the middle and then fanning it out. And that's so that when I put my sun in front of it, it'll look like the clouds are behind, and it'll kind of give more depth to the sun and the piece a little bit too. And I'm going to kind of build up the layers on the blue. I'm going to put some on there, smear it out, make sure it's kind of faded, and then I'll put a little bit more on top that I won't quite work into the clay, and that's going to just build up those color layers, because when you look at a cloud, it kind of has different colors even within the same like puff of a cloud. And then I put on my little sun that I made just by taking that yellow clay, rolling it flat, and then cutting out a circle. I'm using my fingernail to kind of blur that line where the sun meets the water, because that's kind of what it looks like if you look at a sunset. It's not always so crisp and stark between the colors. I think that gradual flow is going to give it a better, more realistic look to it. Then putting on a layer of thin translucent. I rolled this out on my pasta machine on an 8, which is 1 setting from the thinnest. I went down basically until it kind of got almost like wibbly, which was meaning that it was getting a little bit too thin. I've actually never used the thinnest setting on my pasta machine, which is the 9. It kind of gets all wonky when you do it that thin. You can always roll it out as thin as you can through the pasta machine and then put it on a piece of paper and then roll it out even thinner. But basically you want a super thin layer of translucent, and then just kind of use your roller, your hand roller, and smooth it out. Make sure you're going in one direction to kind of get out any air bubbles. And then I'm putting on another layer of the clouds. And this is going to build up that color layer. Then taking some of the sunflower, and this is the color I'm going to be using for my sand. I didn't have like a brown color. This was the closest I had. It doesn't really look like a sunflower color to me. It looks more brown, and it really bakes up really pretty. So I'm kind of putting it on the clay in one solid layer, and then I'd let that dry, and then I'm taking just a dab and putting it on my paintbrush. And if you get too much on there, you can always dab it off on like a piece of tissue or something, but you just want to get a little drop on there and then kind of dot 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 all around. And this is going to give it like kind of like a watery, sandy kind of a look to it. I really like the way it baked out, and you can keep playing with this. You can let it dry and then put some more dots in the center of those, and you'll get these like little ripples. It's really pretty. You can play with it as much as you want to. This is really just a super simple idea. I think I did this in like 30-40 minutes, which usually it takes me a long time, like hours to days, to do some pieces because it's so intricate. I'm like so focused on it. But this was a super simple, easy idea. I loved it. I'm making my sea foam. You can just take any kind of sharp object that you have and just like tick off little pieces of the blue, and then put that on your bottom part where the sand meets the ocean. And then you know how there's got some waves out in the ocean and it has like little foamy sea foam on it. That's what I'm kind of going for here. Just putting a little dash here and there out there in the ocean. You don't want a whole lot out there, but that's kind of where the oceans are lapping and coming together. And then I'm going to put this through the pasta machine on my thickest setting, and then I took it down one more to the next thickest. And then that's going to keep out any air bubbles and make it nice and flat. You can go back over at this point and put some details and touches in there. I think that if you put a little bit of the brown color around the sea foam and the beach, it's going to kind of soak in there and it's going to give it more depth. You want a darker color kind of absorbing behind that, because the shadow and the light is what causes something to have depth. And then I did want to put a little bit more out there in the water, so just kind of making that a little bit darker. You don't have to do all this if you don't want to. You can leave it the way it was, but you can already see in the sky where that purple is fading up into the blue. So pretty. And it's going to bake kind of pink. Cut out your shape. I'm just using my little shape that I cut out, and then I wanted it bigger than that, so I'm just using my cutter and just cutting out a larger shape. And then you can just use your fingers to kind of shape it. And then I did bake it on the spoon so it was domed instead of flat. I really like that touch. And I'm going to add just a few little touches on here for a final beautification of the piece. I want that seafoam to be having a lot of depth to it, so I'm just taking a little bit of white paint and just kind of dabbing it on there, and the same with the seafoam. And then you can add just a little bit more depth to the clouds by adding a little bit of white on there. And then this yellow color, I'm going to make a reflective surface on the water just from the sun, barely any on the paintbrush, and just kind of lightly brushing it almost to where it's like a feather touching the surface. And if you get something on there that you don't like, it's already baked, so you can totally wash it off. Put as much as you want on there, but I think just a little bit goes a long way. That's it. You don't have to bake it again or anything. Just let it dry for a good 30-40 minutes with that paint on there, and then put your resin on there, and then voila, it's done. I love the way it came out. I just love the colors. And I just love the idea of a beach. It's so relaxing. Sometimes I just picture myself on a beach because sometimes that's just where I want to be. Nothing but me and the vast, endless ocean. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know below if you have any ideas for future projects that you'd like me to do. And as always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!